Good morning, students. Afternoon or evening, whatever time you decide to do your learning, I'm here for you. Today we're going to learn about devices of sound, which are techniques in poetry that impact the way a poem sounds. This video specifically is about rhyme, alliteration, assonance, and consonants. Check out part 2 to learn about more devices of sound. I'll try to link that one in the description box below. Let's get into the learning. All right, let's talk devices of sound. In this video, we're going to cover rhyme, alliteration, assonance, and consonants. Part 2 will cover meter, onomatopoeia, rhythm, and repetition. Let's get going. First, let's talk about rhyme. Not every poem has to rhyme, but most poems have rhyme in them. That's what helps them relate to song or have that lyrical quality we talked about in the first video. So there are two types of rhymes. Perfect rhymes are the ones that utilize a correspondence of sounds in the final accented vowels exactly. So they perfectly rhyme. For example, time and lime, set and bet, moat and boat, moon and swoon. I could keep going, but I think you get the idea. The next kind of rhyme is slant rhyme or near rhyme. It is also sometimes called approximate rhyme. So this is rhyme that's close, but not perfect. For example, bent and rant, quick and back. Those words, the sets of words, neither of them rhyme, but you will still hear songwriters and poets using them as if they do rhyme. They're close. Both perfect rhymes and slant rhymes could happen internally, which means that they happen within the line of poetry rather than at the end of the line. This is one way that poets can manipulate sound to affect the way that a poem is read. So, for example, once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, from Poe's The Raven. Or, I had a cat who wore a hat. He looked cool, but felt a fool. Or, I lost my dog in the midst of fog. He found his way home. He doesn't like to roam. All three of those examples have rhyme happening within the line of poetry. Your standard rhyme you think of as just happening at the end, but if you switch it up, you can affect the way a poem sounds more. The next type of device of sound we're going to talk about is alliteration. Alliteration is simply the repetition of sounds at the beginning of the word. So this has to be with the first letter. So for example, she sells seashells by the seashore. Not only is that a tongue twister, but it's a great example of alliteration. Next is assonance. So this is the close juxtaposition or the similar vowel sound. So it doesn't necessarily rhyme, but the vowels sound the same. So for example, date and fade, they have that A sound that sounds really similar, but the consonants don't match up. This could be another way to give your poem that lyrical sound. Next, and finally, for this video, is consonants. So this is a pleasing combination of sounds with the consonant letters. So for example, boat and night, and then that hard T, or at the end of a line, cool and soul, with that smooth L sound, and he fumbles at your spirit by Emily Dickinson. The poem on the right, Fog, has some great examples of consonants. I'm going to read it to you. Try to listen for the repeated consonant letters. The fog comes on little cat feet. It sits looking over harbor and city, on silent haunches, and then moves on. Do you hear the repeated consonant sounds? I'm going to give you a second. Let's read it one more time. The fog comes on little cat feet. It sits looking over harbor and city, on silent haunches, and then moves on. If you heard that repeated T and K sound, those harsher consonant letters, you were right. Those letters mimic the sound of the cat's feet as it's walking in. This is a great example of the way that poets play with sound. So the next time you're trying to write or even read a poem, Look at the way that the poem manipulates sound and uses those devices to try to bring out the lyrical quality of the poem, or just simply make you read it differently.